What's going on YouTube? So when you think of a flagship luxury car, probably the first vehicle you think of is the Mercedes S-Class. Now when you're the number one though, that does mean that you always have a target on your back, which is why Mercedes makes updates to this S-Class every single year. So is this large luxury limo still the pinnacle of flagship luxury cars? Well, let's go ahead and find out. Now, as always, let's start out with our spec dump. There's a wide variety of powertrains you can get in the S-Class. However, we have, I think, the most popular one, the S580, which is a 4-liter twin-turbo V8 engine with a mild hybrid system, making just under 500 horsepower. This is going to be paired to a 9-speed automatic transmission, standard 4MATIC all-wheel drive, and our combined fuel economy is 20 mpg.
Now, the base price of the S-Class for 2025 is $117,000, and if you're looking to buy one and get the best price on it, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. Now, later on in this review, we will be taking it out on the road for a spin, as well as getting things like a signature sound level reading.
And you won't want to miss out on that because this is one of the quietest vehicles on the road as well as the best riding. But first, let's go ahead and close up the hood because we need to take a look at the elegant exterior as well as the extreme luxury on the inside. So beginning here with the exterior design. Of course, when it comes to the S-Class, elegant and classy is the name of the game. And Mercedes is not messing with that overall design aesthetic for 2025. Now, one thing I do want to point out, though, is that we have a little bit of a trim structure update for 2025. What was previously known as the executive line is now the Pinnacle trim level, kind of bringing it in line with the other Mercedes models. You can also get the AMG line accent, and that's going to be separated and can be added to either of the trims available. Now, when you choose that, like what we have on today's model, that means you're going to get a little bit more aggression down here on your lower fascia. But the critical thing you'll notice is that unlike other Mercedes models, the main part of the grille, as well as our top emblem here floating on the hood, that's all going to remain the same across the lineup. Now, let's talk a little bit about the headlights. As you'd expect, obviously you're going to get a very luxurious full LED headlight. It's going to be adaptive and have a lot of nice features. However, here on the 580, we have selected the available digital light. This is an extremely advanced headlight unit, which can even do cool things such as project logos and symbols onto the road to alert you. It's really advanced stuff, and as you can see, just by the overall design of it, it definitely is telling you that it's got some advanced technology inside. Now, moving on to the wheels, of course, you have a ton of different options you can choose between based on what your sense of style is. We've got the 20-inch multi-spoke AMG line wheels. I think this is a great balance between giving it a little bit of aggression, but still being nice and classy. Now, in terms of our mirrors, obviously they are fully loaded with all the features you expect, including heating, blind spot monitoring, power folding, and auto dimming on the driver's side.
Now, here at the side, as you would expect for a long luxury limo like this S-Class, you're going to have a side length of about 208.2 inches long. And as far as some of your design elements, you're going to have some chrome trim up here at the top, some chrome accents on your recessed door handles, and for the AMG line duty, you're going to have a little bit of a lower body kit added as well. Now, heading around to the rear, the idea of class continues back here as well. So you're not going to have any totally crazy design elements for this S-Class. You will have a little bit of a body color lip spoiler here up at the top. Coming here to the middle, you have some chrome accents for your branding going throughout the middle as well. And then you also have your taillight unit here. Very, very nice taillight unit, fully LED as you would expect. And you even do have elements like this amber turn signal, and then there is where your reverse light will be, also LED. Now down here at the bottom, once again for AMG line duty, you will have a little bit of a more aggressive diffuser design, but you will still have dual exposed exhaust outlets on all models. Now, as far as your safety systems go, it's going to be nice and easy here, as you would expect for a flagship. You're going to have all of your active safety systems as standard equipment on this S-Class. And then you even have some extra exclusive options like a air suspension that will raise up in the case of a side collision to help protect the occupants. And in addition, for 2025, you do have a new center airbag added in between the front seats to help increase passenger safety. But part of the enjoyment of the S-Class, the very exclusive interior, so let's go ahead and dive into that. But first,
if you're new here, we're brothers and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12 and 16. We started young, and since then we have reviewed over 2,000 vehicles at every price point. No matter what you're looking for, from humble to high-end, we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family. Let's learn a lot and have some fun with all the latest cars. Now let's move on to the inside. First, we'll take a look at the key fob. Beautiful Mercedes key fob with real metal trim and piano black finish on board. You do have a digital key, now standard across all models for 2025 as well. And then walking up to the vehicle itself, we've got the retracting door handles here, so you can just kind of wipe your hand across it. That will unlock the door and fold out the mirrors. And then the real show is on the inside. It's absolutely stunning from the second you look inside. And before we get into all the individual details, of course, we need to start with those seats. In addition to being extremely ridiculously comfortable, we do have the optional quilted Napa leather on board. There's a ton of different color choices you can pick from. This is the Sienna Brown, which I think is a particularly rich looking color option, but like I said, you have tons of other choices that you can pick from, as well as your trim pieces as well. There's a bunch of different selections that you can make a lot of combinations. Now the seats themselves are going to have a ton of adjustment in typical Mercedes fashion. That's over here on the door trim. So you can adjust, of course, the bottom, the thigh extension, the headrest, all that stuff. The actual buttons themselves, it's kind of just a touch capacitive control. And then they don't mess around with any options when it comes to the seats. So you have standard heating, standard ventilation, standard massaging, and standard 3-person memory, all right there. But let's go ahead and climb on inside. Now as I close up the door, it does have soft close function. Get a little animation on the screen. And let's look around at the rest of the cabin materials. Obviously there's really nice stuff from top to bottom, so even our lower panels here are nicely padded. You have leather all through the center section, quilting details through there, leather across the top. As we move to the upper dash, all of this is finished completely in a leather trim. Through the center, you have generous use of whatever trim piece you pick. This is kind of a carbon fiber design here, which is derived from a weaved fabric. And then as we move through the center here, more of the leather, and we have the piano black finish for the center console. Let's fire it up with the push button start. Now when I fire up the vehicle, one of the things you'll notice is that this has a more traditional interior layout than some of the most recent Mercedes models, which have the hyper screens. That's because the S-Class is kind of your more traditional luxury-focused product. And a lot of you guys might actually like that. That's not to say it's low tech though, because we still have, of course, full digital gauges. One of the cool things about this gauge cluster is that we have the available option of 3D. So it's about an extra $1,000 and you can turn on the 3D view, and it just gives the gauges this really interesting, well, of course, 3D look to them. And again, you can turn that on and off if you do or do not like it. There's also an available augmented reality head-up display, although we don't have it on today's tester. Coming back to the steering wheel, you have a beautifully finished leather wrap steering wheel. We also have the wood trim that goes all the way around it. You've got the piano trim through the center there and a beautiful leather covered airbag cover. Of course, the steering wheel itself, power tilt and telescoping, and it is heated as well. Now let's take a look at interior storage next. I'll open up our center console, and inside you'll find some donuts. That's because here at Car Confections, we like to put donuts in the center console to check the volume. And in this case, this fits a baker's dozen donut. So 13 donuts inside. I'm very impressed by that in this segment of vehicle. Now further in front of that, you can slide back that trim. You'll find some more storage, your 2 cup holders, and then kind of recessed back there, that's actually your wireless phone charging pad. And then finally, there's a little bit of storage behind this screen, so you can stick your phone or anything you kind of want to hide a little bit back there. Now, of course, Mercedes can do that because in their typical fashion, they've got the column shifter. Just pull down for drive. You have paddle shifters on the steering wheel if you want to go canyon carving in your S-Class. And then when we check out reverse, we've got a standard 360-degree camera system. When you click on that, you can go into the 3D view, and we have one of the most advanced camera systems in the entire auto industry. You can see the graphics on this are absolutely insane, really nice and responsive as well. And you don't even have to park yourself if you don't want to. You can always just click up there with the parking assist and let the vehicle handle that for you. Press the end of that shifter to go back into park. And then now we kind of move over into this central screen area where a lot of the other functions are going to live. Before I get into the screen itself, let's talk about the audio system. So you have a standard Burmester 3D sound system. You can also upgrade to a super high-end Burmester 4D sound system, but we just have the standard one. Let's give it a sample right now. Yeah, so overall sound quality is really, really good, as you'd expect for this price point. Obviously, if you want to upgrade to that higher end sound system, I'm sure that one is extra phenomenal. Now in this row next to the volume slider, you also have your fingerprint reader, and then right above that, we have our controls for the climate system. That's going to be built into the screen, and you can adjust your temperature very easily right through there. When you adjust the temperature, it does actually impact the ambient lighting. So above the driver's adjustment here, you'll notice it turns red when I go up to get hotter and down to get colder. This is a dual zone climate system as standard equipment. You can option on a 4-zone if you want. Additional functions are inside of here. This also comes with a fragrance system, so you can load it up with different types of scents. Now, let's talk about the screen itself. This is 12.8 inches for the total screen real estate. Of course, this is MBUX, so you have all the latest and greatest Mercedes functions. Here's your standard 3D map for the navigation system. If I tap in there, you can get to some of your other functions, including wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, which are both standard equipment, of course. Inside of the comfort menu is where we can get into our various different types of massage. You can see there's a ton of these, and this is a legit massage, like really, really good. Here's some of your additional seat adjustments. Our ambient lighting in here is, of course, very advanced. You can see it displayed even here in the daylight because it's very bright. And you can go to a multi-tone or just do the single tone. You can also turn on and off different types of cool effects that work with the vehicle's systems. Now moving on from that, we'll take a look up top here. We have an auto-dimming mirror with HomeLink universal remotes built in. More ambient lighting kind of traces this panel up here on the ceiling. This is also where I can control my standard dual panel sunroof. So I'll go ahead and slide back that shade right there. As you can see, you've got both the front panel and the back panel, and the front panel does open up. Now earlier in the video, I called this a luxury limo, and now that I'm in the back seat, you can see why very clearly. This thing is massive and extremely luxurious. So starting out with the space, we have just under 44 inches of legroom. That is absolutely insane, and about 40 inches of headroom as well. For me, being 5'9", this is an extremely comfortable amount of space, way more than I need, and behind my own driving position, I can raise my legs up and I can barely hit the bottom of that seat. Of course, we still have the official Car Confections ruler on board to check the knee room, and actually it doesn't even touch. So I think we're looking at about 13 inches of additional knee space. Now, obviously, space itself is a luxury, but we have a lot of luxury features on board as well. So I'm going to start out kind of over here with this panel. You'll notice that we have the optional power seats. So we have a ton of adjustments, including the ability to recline this guy all the way back like this. Really nice and comfortable. We also have the pillow. This thing is outrageously soft. And then you can slide this forward and kind of give you that nice thigh support. You could take ridiculously good naps, and you can additionally cool yourself or heat yourself, and it has memory functions as well inside of this system. Now, say the sun is shining on me a little bit too much, I can pull that window switch. It'll go ahead and bring up the power sunshade, black out the cabin. Of course, I have control over the sunroof shade, and I also have control over this back shade as well. So you can give yourself ultimate privacy and ultimate comfort. Now, I did mention earlier we don't have the 4-zone climate. It is available, but that's why you see this kind of pit right here in the middle. Nevertheless, we still have vents in the center and vents in the pillar. Inside of there, you've got a couple USB connections as well. And then we've got the fold-down armrest here, so it gives you some storage. You also have a little area here to stick your phone. And then out of the end, this is where you'll have your 2 cup holders. Now, we don't have the cooler or anything like that. You can get that on the Maybach version, where you can put your champagne glasses and things like that. You can also get a little tablet to control functions available on this model, and there are furthermore some entertainment system screens that are available. Now let's move on to the trunk. Got a power lift gate on board here, and then taking a look at the trunk, as you'd expect from seeing the outside of this vehicle, we have a very large trunk space. It's 19.4 cubic feet to be exact. It's really elongated and kind of pushes back an extra long distance. Actually, we can get the tape measure out and check how far that distance is, in case you're wanting to use your S-Class to haul something from Lowe's or whatnot, but I don't know how many people are going to do that. 43 inches is the length there from the back to the end here. Now, there is actually a little bit more storage underneath of here. You can see no spare tire though. And then this has the available storage shelf. So if I pull that out, we can stick some different objects in here that you don't want to roll around. I can see this being very useful for groceries and whatnot.
Well guys, here we are behind the wheel of the Mercedes S-Class. In this test drive, we're going to be covering quite a few different things, as you can see on the screen right now, as well as getting things such as our signature sound level reading, which you're not going to want to miss for this S-Class. But starting out, let's go ahead and get a hard acceleration.
Yeah. 60 miles an hour.
Oh man, I love the sound of a Mercedes V8.
Oh yeah. Just ridiculously smooth and quite fast as well. So that's really the big benefit of going for the 580 over the still really nice and smooth, but you know, that's a 6-cylinder. This is a 8-cylinder V8. That's what we really want in our ultimate luxury sedan. To remind you guys from the spec dump, this is a 4-liter twin-turbo V8 engine. It also has paired with it Mercedes EQ Boost mild hybrid system. That all together is going to give you 496 horsepower and 516 pound-feet of torque. 0 to 60 is going to be about 4.4 seconds. So even though this thing is a length of a limo, basically, you still have so much power on board. You're well under 5 seconds, 0 to 60.
Now, if the S580 isn't quite your taste, well, good news, Mercedes offers a variety of other powertrain options. As far as the non-Maybach options go, you can see those on the screen right now. Starts out with the S500, which is a 3-liter turbo straight 6. Then you have the S580E, which is a plug-in hybrid using that same inline 6. And what I really want to talk about right now is the new S63 AMG E Performance. While it may be a mouthful, it is a handful of power as well. It's using the same 4-liter twin-turbo V8, but is utilizing Mercedes EQ AMG E Performance technology with a 10.5 kilowatt hour battery pack as well. Total output is going to be 791 horsepower, 1,055 pound-feet of torque, and that electric motor alone is going to be producing 188 horsepower, and overall you're going to be sitting at about a 0 to 60 of 3.3 seconds. And since it does have such a large battery pack, you're going to be able to get about 17 miles of EV range out of that package as well. So, of course, you're going to be paying a lot more for it, as you'll see in the pricing section, but if you have a taste for performance, that S63 is going to be for you.
Yeah, there's just so many different options that you can pick, and none of them are bad. I mean, we haven't sampled out each one because, like I said, there's so many. You can even go up to a V12 if you want in the Maybach, but, you know, basically whatever you want, you can get with this model. It's just an insanely customizable powertrain configuration. This, I think, though, is really the sweet spot because it's a relative bargain, I guess, compared to the other powertrains, but you still have a lot of performance. Just that smooth, refined V8. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's just so quiet. Just a little growl in the background to tell you it means business.
While we're sitting here in traffic, let me go and hit those fuel economy numbers. We don't have full ratings for all of the models, but let's talk about the two main models, the S500 and S580. For the inline 6 500, you're going to be sitting at about 24 mpg combined. Then you go down 4 mpg combined for this S580 we're sitting in today, and you're sitting at 20 overall, which for a V8 is not really that bad. The SUV models that Mercedes puts the V8 in are going to be sitting at much less than that, so overall pretty good. And then you do have those plug-in hybrid models that offer full EV driving range as well.
Right, and I think a lot of the good fuel economy is owed to the EQ boost. This is powering primarily an advanced auto start-stop system, so you can keep the engine off a lot longer. It also actually turns the engine off as you're coming to a stop, and you'll probably be able to observe that here as I come to a stop at this red light. But the overall system is just ridiculously smooth. It sounds, complicated, but in practice, you don't really even notice it working at all because of just how smooth it is. Mercedes, in my opinion, is still the best at doing this. Yeah, see, engine's off perfectly, just no notice at all. Now, as far as the other element of the powertrain, we've got a 9-speed automatic transmission. Really good job with this transmission. It just blends into the background. It's nice and smooth, which of course is, the main thing that you want from a transmission in a vehicle like this.
And all S-Class models will be equipped with standard 4MATIC all-wheel drive.
And now that we've gotten free from the traffic a little bit and moved up to highway speeds, let's talk about the ride quality. So, this is just ridiculously smooth. That's all I really have to say about this. Like, the standard air suspension on this does such a tremendous job. We've been in everything really at this point. The last time we were in S-Class, couldn't say we've been in Rolls Royces, but now we've been in 3 different Rolls Royce models, and the ride quality on this is probably 2% different than the Rolls Royce, maybe. I mean, it's basically exactly the same. You're not going to notice. I mean, it is just ridiculously comfortable. The seats are ridiculously comfortable. You just feel like you're floating along, but not in like a old Buick kind of way where it's like waves. It's still very controlled. It's just super, super pleasant.
Yeah, we're talking about like the upper 1% echelon here, where everything is just a minimal difference. I've also been fortunate enough to have been in a few Rolls-Royce models as well. And I mean, we're talking marginal difference here because all of them are just up there at the very top. So no complaints here in this S-Class.
I'll give you guys a quick acceleration in sport mode in case you ever want to use that in your S-Class.
Oh,
wow.
Man.
That's crazy.
That really turns things up.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Well, now it's time to turn things back down.
Yeah.
You know what time it is. It is time for our signature sound level reading. So let's go ahead and get it going 55 miles an hour. We are sitting at fan speed 1, all seats things are off. All right, we gave it a nice and long sample there. We're sitting at 51.2 decibels for this S580. And I don't have to sit here and guess how it compares to all of the many vehicles that we test. I can go to carconfections.com/sound level readings to find that out. And sure enough, the Mercedes S-Class was already one of the quietest vehicles we've ever tested at Car Confections, and it still maintains that #1 title within its own segment, just being beaten out by an older model S-Class that we have driven as well. Now, we haven't tested a Rolls-Royce here on our roads in Kentucky, but you can see those readings on the screen right now.
Yeah, this is another one of those things. Just like with the ride quality, we're talking the highest caliber, the highest tier of sound deadening inside of this vehicle. Let's go ahead and talk about today's Slam Dunk and Airball. So the Slam Dunk is really just got to be the overall luxury experience. I'm not going to go through all the different luxury things. You've seen that throughout the video. It's pretty much just absolutely insane, and the execution of it all just works so well. You know, you have like just enough of what you want in terms of technology, in terms of luxury, but it's not so overwhelming. It just makes you feel pampered from the second you get inside.
Yeah, as far as the Airball goes, there's just a couple more things that we wish that Mercedes would add in as standard. Things like a head-up display. It doesn't even have to be the augmented reality one. Just give us like a standard head-up display, and then maybe some stuff like standard 4-zone climate as well. It's a little hard getting into those mega comfortable rear seats and not being able to adjust my own climate by myself.
Now, I forgot to mention this on the outside, but this does have a standard rear steering system as well, so that even though this is about 208 inches long, parking is still very easy. It's actually more maneuverable than a Mercedes A-Class, which is kind of your fun fact for the day.
Now, I assume you didn't click on this Mercedes S-Class video expecting this to be the bargain of a lifetime, and it's not going to be, but let's go ahead and talk about the pricing anyways. So with the S500, you're going to be starting about $117,000. As you move up through the models, you're going to get up to $203,500, with the Maybach model. Of course, you can have multiple different variations in between, and that's what we have here today on this S580. You're going to start at about $128,600, but when you add on all of the options for this 2025 model, you're going to be sitting at a total of $146,060 for what you have been looking at today. Now, if you'd like to buy a Mercedes S-Class or any new vehicle, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. On there, you'll have access to tools to get invoice pricing, which is a great tool for dealership negotiation, as well as getting dealers to start competing on pricing. We also have a new monthly payment tool if you would like to check that out. Once again, you can go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes and check out the link in the description, as well as the pinned comment at the top of this video. But buying a car is about more than just the original MSRP, so let's dive into resale and reliability. Let's start with resale value. Using Mason's economics degree, we have calculated what we think is a good idea of this Mercedes S-Class's potential resale value. After 5 years, we would expect it to be sitting at about 41.19% of its original MSRP, and after 10 years, 17.03%. Now, that's worth noting that it is below industry average overall, but it is in line with such rivals as Audi and BMW.
Now, we've also done the same for reliability by developing the Combined Reliability Index. This takes into account several studies on reliability from trustworthy sources and combines them in a way that gives you a more holistic picture. In this regard, Mercedes is rated below the overall industry average for all vehicle makes.
Now, if you'd like to check out all of our reliability and resale info, or check out our methodology, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/resale and carconfections.com/reliability. Buying a car is a very big decision, so you want to make sure that you're making an informed decision. Now, as far as Mercedes warranties, you are going to be sitting at a 4-year, 50,000 both basic and powertrain warranty, and Mercedes does not currently offer any complimentary maintenance. Well, guys, we hope you enjoyed this in-depth review of the 2025 Mercedes S580. If you did enjoy this review or found it helpful in your purchasing decision, we would appreciate it if you'd hit that subscribe button down below. When you do that, it helps us get access to vehicles like these to get out and test and review out on the road for you guys, as well as getting vehicles back at the house for 7 days as well. If you're already a part of our Car Confections family, we appreciate your continued support, and we will catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.